Deadeye Dick is a 1982 novel by one of my favorite authors of all time, Kurt Vonnegut. It's narrated by Rudy Waltz, recounting his tumultuous youth and early adulthood. In typical Vonnegut fashion, it delves into all sorts of themes and narratives, but the catalyst for Rudy's tale is his accidental double homicide at age 12. His father, a failed artist, gun enthusiast, and incidental former friend of Adolf Hitler, allows Rudy access to the attic of their home where the weapons are kept. Rudy, as a celebration of his apparent ascent into adulthood, fires a rifle from the window in the cupola of the attic, aiming at nothing but inadvertently killing a pregnant mother a few blocks away. This tragedy, in conjunction with the atypical nature of his childhood, set into motion Rudy's adulthood and color his take on life. As with many Vonnegut stories, it's difficult to say exactly what happens narratively, but we're given some character studies of a variety of flawed people, some of whom may be familiar if you've read other Vonnegut works like Breakfast of Champions. One of the underlying themes I picked up on seemed to be a sort of innocent or incidental selfishness brought about by life in the mid-20th century and modern times, as there's an increasing shift from us to me. It's not overt, but it plays out in the ways a lot of the characters act. Rudy's dad takes all the blame for Rudy's manslaughter, landing him in prison, seemingly so he can find some purpose in his life. Rudy's brother is on wife number 5 by the end of the book. Rudy himself seems lost and unable to find a place in modern society, especially from the point of interpersonal relationships, often referring to himself as a neuter. The book is largely in flashback, but the narrator speaks from a point of time after a neutron bomb has detonated in Midland City, Ohio, Rudy's hometown, purportedly due to an accident while traveling. No one seems to know exactly how this happened, and conjecture seems to indicate a potential sinister angle for the US government involvement. This adds another layer to the themes of community and lack of knowledge or respect for one's own power, i.e., an unsupervised 12-year-old surrounded by firearms. This book also contains what I thought was a very poignant quote looking back. At one point, Rudy, a pharmacist, states, "The late 20th century will go down in history, I'm sure, as an era of pharmaceutical buffoonery." This was published in 1982. Turn on the TV in 2023 and what kind of ads do you see? I think fans of Vonnegut will appreciate this one. It may or may not be a great introductory book for him if you haven't read Vonnegut before. I'd recommend Slaughterhouse 5, The Sirens of Titan, or maybe Mother Night for that. But this one is definitely Vonnegut. It has all the trappings of his storytelling, the casual irreverence, the tete-a-tete between optimism and cynicism, and some genuinely funny situations. Vonnegut was big with youth in the 70s and 80s, and I can't get a read on how people feel about his work nowadays. Part of me wonders if his pacifism and reluctance to make sweeping, definitive statements in his work might deter modern, younger readers. But I like when a story can ask questions and let me think about them without providing answers or demanding that I provide them. Vonnegut does a great job putting everything out on the table and letting a reader look it over, pondering it and coming to a conclusion if they feel they can. And he does this without making you feel stupid, which I always really appreciate. So yeah, like I said, huge Vonnegut fan. This was my first time reading this one just a couple months ago. Started it years ago, got stalled, couldn't get through it for some reason. This time when I read it, I really liked it. I did an audiobook, reading was good. But yeah, this one is definitely solid Vonnegut. So if you're into that, give this one a read if you haven't already. What do you think, Winston? Would you like Deadeye Dick?
Deadeye Dick by Kurt Vonnegut gets 5 radioactive fireplace mantles.